Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Make Me Smart, where we make today make sense. Thank you all for joining us on this Friday, September the 19th. And because it's Friday, we are going to have our weekly happy hour episode, Economics on Tap. And joining me today is a special guest, WABE reporter Marlon Hyde. He covers all sorts of business and economic stories in Atlanta and around Georgia. Marlon, welcome to the show.
Hey, happy to be here.
Good. So I wanted to bring Marlon on to talk about the fallout of that major ICE raid at the Hyundai plant in Georgia. We're going to get to that. But first, of course, we have to do drinks. Marlon, what did you bring?
So today I brought my mom's homemade reggae punch. It's kind of like
Ooh.
the traditional fruit punch, but my mom puts a spin on it. She has like guava, pineapple, mango nectar in here, and it's really good. I was literally raised off this stuff, and it's bottled up this way because my mom started her food business. She has a food truck now, and I help support it. So now she's starting to sell them, which I'm really happy for.
Nice. Now, is the reggae punch, obviously you said you were raised on it, but did you add anything fun to it for the show?
Now, I did not add anything fun to it. It's going to be a mocktail for the day, but
That's
traditionally,
great.
because I'm Jamaican, my family came straight from Jamaica. You t sometimes you tip a little rum in there, have a good time, have a little party, rum punch. A lot of people are familiar with that. So, and again, I grew up in New York, so rum punch is a drink of the land sometimes.
So I love a good mocktail on the show, but I made a cocktail and, because I knew you were coming on, Georgia, I had to do something with a peach theme.
Oh,
And so
okay.
I had like the last remnant of my farmer's market peach. And this
Oh,
afternoon, I like
fancy.
smushed some of it up and I soaked it in whiskey. And so it's been like muddling all afternoon. And then I added some peach bitters and some ginger beer to it. And so that's my little cocktail.
I love ginger beer. Hey, look, do you do a cheers? Do you usually do like a little cheers, a little
Oh,
virtual
yeah.
cheers?
Cheers. Welcome
Little,
to the show, Marlon.
come
Cheers.
on.
Virtual cheers. All right, let's see what the folks in the chat are drinking. Jefferson is having grapefruit juice and vodka. Christopher
Hmm.
with an Ale Smith .394. Mary Beth is actually also in Atlanta, is having an Aperol Spritz. She says y'all are in second summer, I
That's
guess.
a good one. Yeah, it is 80s right now. So it's a nice day. It's a nice time to be outside, nice and warm. And especially the last few weeks were a little bit cold and dreary, a little bit sweater weather. I'm not opposed to sweater weather. I'm from the Northeast, so anytime I could put a hoodie on, I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy.
Oh yeah, I've been on the phone with my friend on the regular, like, can I wear my boots yet? Can I wear my boots yet? And she's like, no, you can't. Let's see, Flippin' Out has a tangerine margarita. Debbie also has a mocktail with ginger beer, coconut water, and SodaStream Mountain View water. And
Oh,
let's
I might need
see,
to steal that
spiced
one.
rum and coke. Oh yeah, Shelly's drinking a spiced rum and coke. And I'm so sorry that Barbara just spilled her Sauvignon Blanc all over her table, her iPad, and her
Ooh.
laptop.
Hopefully
Maybe
she still got the rest of the
this
bottle. Or maybe that's a point where you kind of like just take a quick pause,
quick pause. Just, that's why you don't necessarily even need the glass. Okay. So let's get serious and talk about some of the reporting you've been doing in Atlanta and the area around it. Can you remind us of what happened when ICE raided this plant outside of Savannah, Georgia?
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, ICE agents went into a battery plant near the coast. It is one of Georgia's highest profile manufacturing sites. And when they went in, they detained about 450 workers. Over 300 of them were South Korean nationals. Hyundai is a South Korean company, and recently South Korea had committed to investing more in the United States, kind of helping along bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. in a way. But it gained a lot of attention because of the size of the raid. It was claimed to be one of the largest single site raids in ICE DHS history. But on top of that, it also gained a lot of attention on social media because of the videos that came out. The workers were detained
Hmm.
wearing, cuffs, chains, and when they were welcomed back home recently, South Korea chartered a plane. Oh, got to get off the furniture.
Sorry.
Uh, But South Korea chartered a plane to bring the nationals back home, and they received a warm welcome from, people at the airport waiting on them. There were other journalists there waiting on them as well. And, as we stand right now, Hyundai has actually committed to spend more on its facility in Georgia. They've committed about $2.7 billion in future investments going toward the plant. The battery plant that was rated has been set back about 2 to 3 months from opening, so it's going to open somewhere in the first half of 2026. And South Korea is still going forward with its investments, but according to reports, and especially according to some of my interviews, South Korean companies are thinking, they're kind of considering, if they have to send somebody to the US, it's going to take a little bit of extra thought right now, and they're just kind of waiting for things to cool down.
Yeah, what have people been telling you as you've been talking to folks in the aftermath, both businesses as well as folks in the immigrant community?
Yeah, so I spoke to Andrew Yo, the Korea chair for the Brookings Institute, and he said that this could have an impact on future investments, that South Korean nationals were not the happiest with how, their people were shown on the screen. It was a tough watch. I can admit that. And
Yeah.
especially for people who are thinking about investments, money. We're already dealing with tariffs, so there's economic uncertainty going on, within the US, but then also globally as we're watching inflation continue along. So if countries are thinking about where they're going to place their money, they also have to think about where are their nationals going to be treated well and I guess cared for.
And I guess this is more happening where I am here in Washington, D.C., but what have you heard about the diplomatic fallout of this in terms of just the U.S. Korea relationship?
Well, the diplomatic fallout, I spoke to Troy Stangron, who was the Hyundai Motor, he was like the Hyundai Motor Korea chair. Like there was like a specific
Hmm.
department, he's a very specific source, but he had so much knowledge about the relationship between South Korea and the United States. And this relationship, it's a long-standing relationship, but especially in Georgia, it's been developing so that we can push along the auto industry here. What I've been hearing is that investments are going to move on as promised, as committed to as before. South Korean nationals, they are going to continue to kind of weigh whether or not to send, people to the U.S. But it sounds like as far as the economic growth opportunities, they're still going to continue along, and there hasn't been any comment on whether there's going to be a diminished investment or, plants changing pace at all. But Hyundai is going to be moving along as planned.
So, more broadly, how is the economy doing down there?
Well, it depends on which part you're talking about sometimes. The small business economy down here, a lot of people are struggling to say the least, especially the people that I'm talking
Mm.
to. When I'm, down at the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs, Rice, I'm speaking to a lot of Black entrepreneurs who are talking about sourcing. It's hard getting certain materials in, especially one business owner that I spoke to, she said that when she ordered her stuff at the port, she had to pay an extra $1,000 than she's used to. And, thankfully they were able to hold it for her as well at times. But
Hmm.
given the volatility of the tariffs, it's hard to figure out how much somebody's going to pay for something. And then on top of that, how much are they going to charge you as a consumer? So that's kind of the effect that hits us the most. When we see the price increase, and especially in a year where we started off with eggs seeing a huge increase, and now we're back down on the eggs, but everything else has risen. So people are really thinking about how to spend their dollars. Hiring is really tough right now because, again, you have to think for these businesses, having certainty is what helps them plan. So, how are you going to hire somebody right now when you don't know if you're going to have to lay them off in the next 4 to 6 months because the policy changed? Certain industries that rely on immigrant labor, they're going through a hard time finding workers because certain communities don't even want to come out because we've had ICE raids. Immigration reporter Emily Wu Pearson has done a fantastic job at documenting the numerous ICE raids that have been happening in different parts of Georgia. So there are people who are concerned, and there are places that need more workers. And on top of that, there are some businesses that are all around just deciding not to hire and just bootstrap and stockpile as much as they can because they don't know what tomorrow really looks like. They're fighting for survival right now.
So you mentioned your mom just started her own business with this food truck that you're supporting. Like, how has she been feeling it? Because you're saying that small businesses are struggling. Has it shown up in y'all's business?
So it hasn't quite shown. Well, oxtail prices. Let me just talk about that for a second. Oxtail keeps getting
Please
more and more
do.
expensive, and I need everybody on TikTok to stop posting oxtails because I feel like y'all are contributing to the inflation that we're seeing. No, seriously, it hasn't really shown up because
People
my
had no
mom.
idea what they were for ages, and they were so cheap, and now it's like you can't find them.
Look, people when once people found oxtail, it became oxtail pizza, oxtail patties, oxtail burgers. I'm just like, I see a new oxtail recipe every day, and I'm like, look, y'all don't know what y'all doing. But continuing along, it's just for my mom, she hasn't really seen it too much. It's only been a couple months that we've been open, and a lot of the recipes, my mom, she's been doing them since she's a kid. It's been my mom's dream to own her own food business. Shireen's Sunday Dinner food truck, shameless plug. Uh, but she loves in Loganville, Georgia. She loves cooking. It's part of our culture.
Wait, say it slower for the people in
I
the
got you.
back.
Shireen Sunday dinner, because in Jamaica, a Sunday dinner is like a full plate. You get rice and peas, you get vegetable, and you get a protein, which is usually either oxtail, jerk chicken, curry chicken. And my mom has been cooking these flavors, cooking these recipes for years. Nothing is written down, it's all from the soul. So she's
Mm.
been dreaming of selling her own food and having her own place where people can enjoy the flavors that she grew accustomed to. So that's kind of emblematic for a lot of the businesses here. This is their dream. Like
Yeah.
they found a way how to start a business and now they're facing hardship. So right now it's either am I gonna stay on the ship and just ride through the rough waters, or do I try to figure out another plan, another direction to move in so that I can make sure that there is a tomorrow?
You had another story that I saw on WABE's website about the World Cup, which a lot of folks may not be paying much attention to yet, but Atlanta is going to be hosting some of those games next year. How is that going?
It's going well. There is excitement around Atlanta. I've heard some reports that there are kind of like concerns about, I guess, security for people traveling in from other countries, how they may be received, if they're going to be safe or not. I haven't personally covered that, but again, you just got to read and keep your head on a swivel. But overall, Atlanta's developing its own human rights action plan, along with FIFA and other cities in the U.S. that are hosting the games. Atlanta's going to have 8 games, and it's very exciting. Atlanta's a city that loves sports. You have basketball, baseball, football, every season, all year round. There's always some type of sporting event going on. And Atlanta, everybody here, they love to just go out and have a good time, bring their family out. And Atlanta's home to the busiest airport in the world, so there's going to be plenty of international travelers who are ready to just come and enjoy a good time.
I have to tell you that everyone in the chat is now talking about their favorite oxtail dishes. Also, apparently, beef tongue is going up in price as well. But
Look,
anyway,
food is
so
getting
beef.
expensive. When I go to the grocery store and I spend $50 to $70 because I was spending $100 earlier this year, and I'm like, I'm not getting the same value. Like, why
Mm.
does this bag is getting smaller and smaller? So I'm just like, you know what? How about I just eat some produce and more whole foods? It's healthier for me, and I could go down to the farmers market and support some, local farmers, local people.
Well, thank you for the update from your part of the country. I hope everybody who's watching will check out some of Marlon's reporting on WABE. We're going to have links in our show notes. Now we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Marlon is going to join us for a game of half full, half empty. We'll be right back.
Take a sip.
Oh, yeah, take a sip. All right, we are back. Marlon Hyde of WABE is still here with us and is going to join us for our game, Half Full, Half Empty. And the amazing Drew Jostad is going to host us and take it away, Drew.
All right, first up this week, Southwest Airlines is partnering with T-Mobile to start rolling out free Wi-Fi next month. United and Alaska are both using Starlink. Delta and American investing in this as well. Are you half full or half empty? on more airlines providing free Wi-Fi?
What do you think, Marlon? You have thoughts. I can see it.
So this is very specific to me right now because I just got back from DC, from your neck of the woods. I was attending a fellowship with the National Press Foundation. It was their business journalism fellowship, and I flew
Wow.
Southwest, and I am half full because my phone was basically dying. My service was a little bit shaky, so when I was on the flight, I used the free Wi-Fi that they had. I also just switched carriers, so now I'm with T-Mobile. So I'm just like, this is a very specific question to my life. Um, but yes, we need Wi-Fi on these flights because you have your phone there. It it's fun to have. I watched Mean Girls on my flight. It was the exact amount of time as the length of the flight, so it was just like perfect watching everything just go down. Um, yeah, I'm definitely half full on Wi-Fi on flights.
I'm really torn on this one because on the one hand, it would be so much more efficient to like get stuff done and to stay in touch and like catch up on things, but also not having access to the internet on flights is kind of something that forces me to not be online for a minute and, you know, watch whatever anime I downloaded or catch up on some podcasts or, just not be go, go, go. I'm also very paranoid about people, having more conversations and doing other annoying things on flights with access to Wi-Fi. But I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go half full just for all the parents where it will be easier to keep their kids entertained. Half full.
I could definitely stand by that.
All right, what's next, Drew?
Next up, as the summer movie season wraps up, are you half full or half empty on the continued decline in moviegoing?
I thought for sure this was going to be a Demon Slayer question. Okay, never mind.
Uh, I'm
The
definitely excited to go see
decline in
Demon
movie
Slayer.
going. I still have to go
Uh,
see it too. Uh, and shameless plug here on my side, we did an interview with a Crunchyroll executive who's in charge of their theatrical
oh,
releases,
that was
and you can
fantastic.
find that interview clips, those clips from that interview, on our social media accounts, which is at Marketplace APM. Everybody should go see that. Okay, decline in movie going. Half empty for sure, because I think going to the movies is great and is a part of our culture I'd like to preserve. And even though I'm part of that, I've not been to the movies in God knows how long. But I'm gonna go to see the Demon Slayer movie, and I want to be able to keep having that experience. And so, in order to keep having that experience, we have to keep going to the movies. So, half empty on the decline, but half full on going to the movies.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think, going to the movies is an American pastime. People used to listen to movies on the radio before you could ever even go watch them.
Mm.
So for me, I think about the culture of movie going, but then also it's getting more and more expensive. Like, certain AMC's, you can't even do the $5 Tuesday. It's just a discounted price than what it
Yeah.
was. So I think for a lot of people, especially one of the times I went to the movies, I went on the premiere of the Mario movie when it came out a few years ago, and I took my nieces and nephews. I have two nieces and one nephew. I took them to go see it, and there were so many people there and people dressed up. So I think when the right movie is out, there's gonna be people out. Like if I try to go watch Demon Slayer right now, there's probably gonna be some people dressed up in cosplay ready to go see the movie. And that's what you want. That's what you want the movie experience for. I wasn't alive for Star Wars, but I can promise you there were people outside for Star Wars. So I think the movie going culture is something that is so beautiful about America. It can never go away. But again, with streaming services, with how expensive it is to go to the movies, you got to take out a loan to get a bucket of popcorn and a water. Like it's not where it needs to be for people to want to go out more.
Now that you say that about like the cosplay and things, if I think about the really successful movie releases in recent years, a lot of them have had this kind of thematic experience. I'm thinking about the Barbie movie and everybody dressing up in Barbie costumes. I remember when Black Panther came out and I went and like everyone was in their sort of Afrofuturism outfits and things like that. So it really is that shared experience that makes the movies special. Okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right. So
I got
there we
I got a
are.
story to add on about the Black Panther
Mm,
movie too. So I'm a graduate of St. Michael's College. It's a small liberal arts school in Colchester, Vermont. And when I was there, I did several roles within student leadership, and one of them at the time was being one of the secretaries for the Martin Luther King Jr. Society, which is kind of like our, you know, multicultural student leadership group. And I had suggested that we try to take the campus out to go see Black Panther. So what we did was we collaborated with I called the movie theater down the street. We talked to them,
hmm
got some of the higher ups within the club to get involved too. We coordinated buses, $5 movie tickets, unlimited popcorn. So we gave everybody an experience. You didn't have to pay to go travel back and forth to the movie theater. You only spent $5. And then afterwards, we took a huge group photo right in the movie theater. And that collective experience was just so beautiful to have orchestrated, followed through on, and just experience.
That is such a great story. I do have to point out, James Jordan in the chat says, I was around for Star Wars when it first came out. It was long before dressing up, except for Rocky Horror, but there were lines around the block. So
There we
maybe
go.
not cosplaying, but we get the idea. All right, what's up next, Drew?
Next up, are you half full or half empty on Costco opening an hour earlier, but for its executive members only?
Have you
So you
heard this
have to
story, Marlon?
pay the expensive membership tier to get in for the private shopping.
So I have not heard that, but is it bad that I'm an executive member?
It's not bad. Look, we have to do what we have to do to get by. So I have had multiple conversations about this with my friends, and because my life is so exciting, we talk about Costco. But one of my friends who's literally, I was on the phone with her today. I was like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" She was like, "I'm in my second home." I was like, "Oh, you're at Costco." And yes, she was at Costco. And she reminded me that they used to have early hours for executive members before the pandemic. And basically, the pandemic is what slowed that down, or they stopped doing it during the pandemic. But it kind of makes sense to me that for business owners, which is who the executive membership is targeted at, even if lots of other people get it, you would want to be able to get your stuff early in the day before you open up shop, especially if you're a restaurant or something. And you kind of do need to have that first pick of the fruits and the vegetables and everything and get it early while it's super fresh. So that doesn't bother me. The reporting and the stories that we've done at Marketplace and elsewhere about the sort of tierification of the economy, this idea that we were talking about Southwest earlier, and who gets to board first and who gets special perks. And look, I'm signed up for all kind of rewards programs, and I pay too much for a credit card so I can get access to airport lounges, all the things. I I do it. I'm part of the problem. But I don't think that this Costco thing is exactly an example of it. So I'm definitely half empty on the tierification of the American economy and the further division into the haves and the have-nots, but I don't know that this is the best example of it. What do you think?
I'm half empty on it. Like the reason why I'm an executive member is because my mom started her business, and I kind of put my mom on the
Mm.
Costco because I am a Costco lover. I'm a big Costco fan. Like if it wasn't for traffic earlier this week, I would literally have a rotisserie chicken in my fridge right now. So, I'm not against, businesses being able to get their produce and, everything early. Honestly, they could start a program where if you register your business with Costco, they can create a registry online fairly simply. Fairly simple.
So
If you create a
Sarah
business
in the
registry,
chat, yeah,
okay.
Sarah in the chat is giving us all the intel. She says the business Costco opens at 7 a.m. Regular Costco is at 9 a.m. for executive members and 10 a.m. for regular members. I love all the Costco expertise that we have in our
That's
chat.
that's amazing. But they already kind of do that tarification with, you have to pay what, 65 for a card and then it's 120 for the executive member. It should come with some perks, but honestly, coming to the store earlier, I can tell you for somebody like me, I'm not going to be waking up an hour earlier just to go to Costco. Like, I'm also an avid people watcher, so I enjoy going
Mm.
to Costco and just kind of being amongst people, being social. Like you mentioned earlier, it's my time to unplug and just be, amongst people. Um, And yeah, I love Costco. Get a hot dog
So
and a
I
drink every once
I
in a while.
have a Costco membership, but I use it the complete opposite way. I signed up just so I can get the delivery because I don't want to be in there with all those people. Anyway, Drew, what's the next one? We got to wrap this up.
Yeah, last one is the audience poll.
All right, everybody in the YouTube chat, get ready to vote and weigh in. What do we got?
All right, as I'm sure we all know, Disney owned ABC, suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live account.
Ah,
In response, many on social media are canceling Disney streaming services, and even some film and TV celebrities are speaking out. Are you half full or half empty on these boycotts affecting Disney's decision making?
Are we allowed to speak openly about this, or will we lose our broadcast license later on?
It's a podcast, Kimberly.
It is a podcast, but it's a marketplace podcast, and marketplace is on broadcast, and it's wild that we are having this discussion. Like, oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
also tied to a now defunded arm of media called public media, or federally defunded. Shout out to all the members, subscribers, contributors, everybody that donates to public media. Thank you so much, because without y'all, I would not have a job right now. Like things are looking very difficult in our industry, and I think that's very emblematic of it. So, we're trying our best to tell accurate stories, tell real stories, and deliver them for free for people who may not be able to afford a subscription to a high-end news service. They could still get the same level of journalism from public media.
yeah. Um, we've had a lot of conversations on this show, Marlon, about what people can do to be engaged in the democracy and in activism, and when they feel strongly about something, like what they can do, because a lot of people end up feeling overwhelmed and hopeless, and that
Oh, for
the
sure.
issues are too big. And let's be very direct that this is just a blatant attack on free speech in this country, and no qualms about saying that out loud. And it's very fascinating the quarters that it's coming from, given some of the narratives around cancel culture and free speech in recent years. Um, but in terms of the economic tools used to, you know, penalize these companies, look at Target. Target is struggling right now because the Target boycott has definitely affected its bottom line, because I don't know any Black people who still shop at Target. Not a one. Not a one. At least nobody who admits it openly. And it's been a pretty effective thing, and it's showing up in their numbers. So I've done some reporting on what the data shows about economic boycotts and whether or not they work. And economically, like in terms of the numbers, they usually don't work in terms of what the data shows. But the brand damage ends up being very real from a boycott. So I think I'm going to be half full on people doing whatever they feel makes them engaged in the democracy and in the economy in a way that feels morally right to them. I'm certainly not going to tell anybody what they should or should not be doing with their money. So I'm going to go half full. What do you think?
I agree, half full. I think this is chestnut checkers that we're playing right now. And on top of that, speaking to economists here in Georgia, two things that I would want to share and that I've learned is that one, a lot of these companies can decide to capitulate, can decide to, try to move the path with least resistance with this current administration. And a lot of economists have been telling me, okay, so then what are they going to do next year if things change? What are they going to do the year after that? We're still in year one. So if you're going to try to change how you're operating right now, look at the relationship with Elon Musk that has, took over social media for a while. Things can change very quickly under this current state that we're in, and on top of that, the second thing is the power is with the people. The power is in your pockets. The power is within your dollar. Where you choose to spend your time and energy and money matters. You have a choice and you matter as a human being. Whether or not you have money or not, you matter as a human being. So use your voice, use your dollars, and show people that you deserve to be heard.
So first of all, shout out to all the people in the chat who are members. Mary Beth, who's a WABE sustaining member. Shout out, Mary Beth.
See, shout out Mary Beth.
We've got, yes, in Northwest Marco, who's a member of KUOW in Seattle. Karen, who donates to public media, including Marketplace. Sarah, who's an APM investor and a CPR member in Colorado.
Come
Thank you
on.
so much to, oh, and Paul, who's an APM investor. Thank you to
Look at all of
everybody
these
for your
amazing
support.
people. Look at all of these amazing people taking
Yeah.
money that they worked hard for to keep supporting something that matters to the greater good.
Yeah, and a WUNC member, RLN Shaw. There's so many of you here. And Peg, thank you. I'm not going to be able to get to everybody, but on the boycott question, there's a lot of folks weighing in about, not just boycotting the companies, but contacting sort of the local affiliates and then contacting the advertisers who are advertising on those affiliates. There's a lot of different ways to take action when you don't like what's happening. And I love the fact that people are paying attention and are engaged and are taking the tools that they have available to them and using them to accomplish their goals. So, oh my gosh, there's so many supporting members here in the chat. Thank
Come
you
on. I love
everyone so
that. I love
much.
that.
Yeah, I wish I had time to shout out all of you, but we're going to wrap up for the day. I think there's music. There it is. Okay. Just making sure. Okay, that is it for the day. Thank you so much, Marlon. You have been amazing. Virtual round of applause from everyone for
Hey,
how great of a job that he did on
I
Economics
appreciate it.
on Tap. So thank you.
Of course.
We are
Thank
going to
you.
be back. Yeah, we are going to be back next week. And until then, we still want to hear from everybody in the audience. Lately, there have been a lot of really big terms popping up in our political and economic discussions. Things like state capitalism, socialism, fascism, authoritarianism. Are there any sort of economic, political vocabulary words that you've been wanting to know more about so that you can be better armed with information about how to talk about some of the things that are happening in our country right now? Anything you want to have a refresher on, please send us a note. You can leave us a voicemail at 508-UB-SMART. You can email us at makemesmart@marketplace.org. That conversation is going to be coming up on our show. Make Me Smart is produced by Courtney Bergseeker. Today's episode was engineered by Charlton Thorpe, and the team behind our YouTube live streams with all of our shenanigans is Emily McCune and Antoinette Brock. Our interim supervisory senior producer is Stephanie Seek. Nancy Fargali is the executive producer of Marketplace Shows, and Joanne Griffith is our chief content officer. And Marlon is amazing. Thanks so much for hanging out today. I
So
really
are you,
appreciate
Kimberly.
it.
Hey, have me back
Aw,
anytime.
thank
I'd love to come
you.
back. Thank you.
Oh, we'd love to.